Set 8 will be gone in just a couple of days, and before we glitch into the mid set, we want to assist you on your final climb. So here's our top 5 comps that will help you reach your rank goal, starting off with the infamous Animas. The full Anima squad includes Misfortune, Riven, Vayne, Ekko, Sejuani, Alistar, Jinx and Nasus. You want to go for this comp if you can activate 3 Anima squad right from the start to maximise the health stacks on your squad. Then make sure to run 5 Anima squad at level 6 and add in your 4 cost units and carries at level 7. Your most important 4 cost is Misfortune, and as a damage carry she wants Spear of Shojin, Jeweled Gauntlet and Giant Slayer. Riven is going to be your main tank and she wants loads of vest item components for items like Sunfire Cape and Bramble Vest. Then top it off with some magic resist shred by giving her an Ionic Spark. If you've got any leftover remaining AD items, make sure to send them to Vayne, with Rage Blade, Infinity Edge and Last Whisper being her best choices here. For augments, you'll be looking at any Misfortune or Riven hero augments. You should also always pick up an Anima Squad Heart, Crest or Crown if you stumble upon any of these. Comp number 2 on our list is called Sir Crocodile. It's a pretty unique and niche comp that will want you to play a full brawler board, with of course Renekton, then Jax, Riven, Sejuani, Lee Sin and Vi, as well as the admins Soraka and Blitzcrank. This comp spikes really hard during your early and mid game, as you'll be able to play 6 beefy brawlers with more than enough damage in your Angry Crocodile. But to build a winning board, you want to slow roll at level 5 and get Renekton 3 stars ASAP, as well as the right itemization on him. Speaking of items, your carry Crocodile will start slicing up enemies one by one if you manage to give him Quicksilver for the CC immunity, Bloodthirster for the sustain, and finally a Rage Blade to make his Barrel of Anger overflow. Your secondary carry is your other 3 cost brawler, Riven. Just like the first comp, she is a tank and she only wants defensive items to serve as a shield, and great choices are Sunfire Cape, Bramble Vest, and actually a Redemption this time. Then there is your only backliner Soraka, who you want to send everything AP her way. Blue buff, Hextech Gunblade, and then ideally a brawler emblem as well. If a couple of extra bows drop, you could also immediately start itemizing Jax as a second brawler AD carry. But when it comes to augments and you compare the average placement of Renekton's carry augment with Jax's, you'll know why Renekton will always be your better option. Don't overthink it too much though, and you can always commit yourself to a Renekton or Jax focus comp whenever you see a brawler heart, crest or crown. That's only one example of how strong low-cost hero augments actually are. So if you're interested in more niche but viable low-cost hero carries, then check out our video about broken hero augments. The link's in the description. Next up, we have a comp filled with spellslingers. The Magic Corps remains very strong in this patch with Taliyah, Annie, Janna, Ekko, Alistar, LeBlanc, Sona and Lux. Unlike the previous comp, this one is a default leveling comp, which means you first want to start rolling seriously for a copy of Taliyah at level 7. You might get contested so if you are afraid of not hitting Taliyah, roll a little more during stage 4 and try to hit her 2-star before the others. As a carry who brings both your most important synergies to the table, Taliyah is best with items like Spear of Shojin for the mana regen, Hextech Gunblade for those heals, and then Jeweled Gauntlet for the damage. Your second most important unit is your 2-cost tank, Annie. Ideally, you can stack her with strong utility items that will help your entire team with items like Ionic Spark and Sunfire Cape, and then Warmog's Armor to apply those bonus utility effects for as long as possible. When it comes to augments, Spellslinger Janna can actually be optional, as any Spellslinger Heart, Crest or Crown will make it a lot easier to get that extra 6 Spellslinger trait bonus. For heroes, prioritise Taliyah's or Annie's support augments. Moving on to comp number 4, which is a pretty expensive comp, but if you manage to get it, it's insanely powerful. The Heartbreakers want you to field Viego, Ekko, Samira, Aphelios, Leona, Alistar, Fiora and Talon. So you're going to need a bunch of high cost units to play this comp, and you'll ideally only start rolling during level 8. However, if you need to stabilise your mid game, you should definitely roll at level 7 for a copy of your main carry, Viego, as well as your main frontliner too in Ekko. With Viego handling all things AP, Samira dealing with everything AD, and reliable frontliners like Ekko who can make use of belts, vests and cloaks, you have tons of options to work with. Yes, this comp is one of the most flexible comps you can play in terms of items in this set. Starting off with Viego as your main AP carry, you want to give him Hextech Gunblade for the healing, Ionic Spark as it will make him reduce enemy resistances on the entire board, and then finally Titan's Resolve for some more sustain. For defense, Bramble Vest in combination with Dragon's Claw is ideal, and it will always make sure your frontliner is ready for every form of incoming damage. Your main AD carry is the sure shot Samira. Her damage will be a huge help for Viego as it will make him easier to reset with his ult whenever he jumps from kill to kill. So you want to give her pure AD items like Last Whisper and Infinity Edge, and ideally you can also throw an Oxforce emblem on her too. That being said though, Oxforce Heart, Crest or Crown are going to be instant picks, as well as any Viego hero augments. And since Talon is another Ox and Renegade, you'll also do just fine with his support hero augment too. Moving on to our last comp for set 8, and it's safe to say that Full Recon is undoubtedly the most consistent comp throughout Monsters Attack. If you really do want to reach that next ranking tier, then spam this comp every game by playing Kai'Sa, Vayne, Ezreal and Ashe in the back, and Cho'Gath, Rammus and Zac in the front line. The number one reason why this comp is so consistent is because you can stabilise like no other comp in the mid game by hyper rolling at level 6 to field all 4 recons and the threats Cho'Gath and Rammus. That means roll down your gold, hit your team 2 stars and rush to level 7 next. For itemization, you probably already know what's coming, but let's start with the obvious choices anyway. Cho'Gath and Rammus will always be your core frontline tanks, so really anything tanky works on the 2. Bramble Vest, Dragon's Claw, Warmog's Armor, Redemption, Sunfire Cape, Onyx Spark, and so on, you get the point. Now, since you'll have the 2-3 cost recons as main damage in the back, you should prioritize your itemization depending on who you hit first. That means if Kai'Sa isn't contested and you can easily 3-star her, then get her geared up first and try to get Hextech Gunblade, Static Shiv and a Giant Slayer on the Star Guardian carry. If RNGesus decides to show a bunch of Vayne copies in your shop, then you should go for full damage and more swords with Spear of Shojin, Deathblade and Quicksilver on the Duelist carry. Another guide for a final carry decision is your hero augment offerings. If you see Spread Shot, prioritize Vayne. If you see Multi Shot, prioritize Kai'Sa. And finally, High Roller with 3 loaded dice will make 3-starring your threat frontline a piece of cake. That's going to wrap up our top 5 comps you have to play for my Challenger experts. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel and be the first to climb in set 8.5.